My name is Emily, and this is the story of how my world shattered at 18, only to rebuild itself stronger than ever. It all started 2 years after my mom passed away from cancer. I remember the wedding day vividly. I stood there in my bridesmaid dress, forcing a smile, while Sandra whispered to her friends about how cluttered our family home felt with my teenage mess. Dad laughed it off, but I felt the first crack in our bond. Mom's pictures were already tucked away in boxes, replaced by Sandra's modern art pieces. "It's time to move on, Emily," Dad said, his eyes avoiding mine. "But how do you move on from the woman who raised you?" The real trouble began a month after the honeymoon. One evening, it all exploded. I came home from my part-time job at the local diner, exhausted and covered in grease smells. Sandra was in the kitchen, rearranging cabinets. "Emily, we need to talk," she said, crossing her arms. Dad was there too, looking uncomfortable. She accused me of stealing money from her purse, $200 that mysteriously vanished. I swore I didn't touch it, but Dad didn't believe me. "You've been acting out since the wedding," he said, his voice cold. "Sandra thinks it's best if you find your own place." I froze. "Dad, you're kicking me out over this?" Tears streamed down my face as I begged him to listen, but Sandra's influence was ironclad. She had whispered lies about me being troubled, planting seeds of doubt. That night, I packed a single bag with clothes, Mom's old necklace, and whatever cash I had saved, barely $500. Dad handed me a bus ticket and said, "This is for your own good. You'll understand someday." The door shut behind me and I was alone on the street, the rain soaking through my thin jacket. The betrayal hit like a punch to the gut. How could the man who taught me to ride a bike abandon me for a woman he barely knew? Homeless and heartbroken, I crashed on friends' couches at first, but pride pushed me to figure it out. I got a second job waitressing, enrolled in community college online, and rented a tiny room in a run-down apartment building. Nights were the worst, lying awake, wondering if Dad ever thought about me. Curiosity gnawed at me. Why did Sandra hate me so much? What was she hiding? I started digging subtly, using social media and old family contacts. Little things didn't add up. Sandra's stories about her past changed every time she told them. Was she really a successful consultant, or was there more? Months turned into a year. I scraped by, but the emotional toll was heavy. I'd cry in the shower, missing Mom's hugs and Dad's bad jokes. Friends urged me to reach out, but anger festered. Then one day, while scrolling through old photos, I found a clue. An email from Mom's old account forwarded to me by accident years ago mentioned a suspicious woman Dad had met before. My heart raced. Could Sandra have been involved with Dad while Mom was still alive? The curiosity turned into obsession. I hired a cheap private investigator with my savings, posing as a research project for school. What I uncovered shattered me all over again. Sandra wasn't who she claimed. She had a history of gold digging, 2 previous marriages ending in messy divorces where she walked away with fortunes. Worse, she had met Dad at a support group for widowers, but records showed she'd faked her own loss to infiltrate it. And that missing $200? Turns out Sandra had borrowed it herself to fund a secret shopping spree caught on her credit card statements. But the real bombshell? She had been Dad's mistress during Mom's final months, pressuring him to leave her. Mom knew, but kept it quiet to spare me the pain. The emotional floodgates opened. I felt rage, sorrow, and a burning need for justice. Revenge didn't come overnight. I focused on myself first, channeling the pain into success. I graduated community college with honors, landed a scholarship to a state university, and started a blog about overcoming family betrayal. It went viral among young adults facing similar issues, turning into a small income stream from sponsorships. By 21, I was interning at a marketing firm, building a life far from the shadows of my past. Then, opportunity struck. Dad's company was hosting a charity gala, and my firm was handling the PR. I volunteered, knowing Sandra would be there, dripping in jewels bought with family money. But I had more than just facts. I'd uncovered a deeper secret during my investigation. Sandra wasn't just a gold digger, she was running a scam operation, using Dad's business connections to launder money from her shady investments. The PI had traced emails linking her to offshore accounts and even a small-time fraud ring. The plot twist hit me hard. Sandra had targeted Dad specifically because of his company's vulnerabilities, planning to bleed it dry and disappear. My curiosity had led me to bank records showing she'd already siphoned off thousands, forging Dad's signature on documents. Armed with this, I didn't just plan a blog post, I orchestrated a multi-layered takedown. First, I anonymously tipped off a local journalist friend about irregularities at Dad's firm, planting seeds of doubt in the business community. At the gala, I arrived looking polished, confident, the girl they discarded now a rising star. Dad's face paled when he saw me. "Emily?" he whispered, guilt etching his features. I smiled sweetly. "Hi, Dad." Sandra. Over appetizers, I casually mentioned my research blog post going live that night, titled "The Truth Behind My Father's Second Marriage." It detailed everything: the affair, the lies, the financial manipulations. But I had a twist ready. As the post dropped, I had arranged for the PI to deliver a package to Dad's office during the event. Hard copies of the fraud evidence, including wire transfers and forged docs. Sandra's phone buzzed with notifications as her ex-partners in the fraud ring, spooked by the exposure, started turning on her via leaked messages. Panic set in. Sandra's facade cracked as whispers spread through the room, but she tried to fight back, accusing me of fabricating it all, even threatening a lawsuit. That's when the real twist unfolded. In her desperation, she confessed to Dad in a heated argument, overheard by guests, that she'd done what she had to secure their future, admitting the affair and the scams. But the ultimate gut punch? I revealed to Dad privately that Sandra had tampered with Mom's medical records, delaying treatments to hasten her decline, all to clear the path for herself. It was a hunch confirmed by hospital logs the PI dug up. Dad's world crumbled. The emotional betrayal mirrored mine, but amplified. The gala turned chaotic. Security escorted Sandra out as police, tipped off by my journalist contact, arrived to question her. Dad confronted her one last time, his voice breaking. "You destroyed my family." Her arrest followed days later. Fraud charges stuck, and her past victims piled on with lawsuits. My revenge wasn't violent or cruel. It was truth, served cold, with layers of exposure that unraveled her life completely. Curiosity led me to the facts. Emotions fueled my drive. And the plot twist of her deeper crimes ensured justice was thorough. As for Dad, he sobbed apologies that night, begging for forgiveness. "I was blind, Emily. I lost you for nothing." The emotional release was cathartic. I forgave him, but on my terms. We started rebuilding slowly, with therapy and honest talks. He even testified against Sandra, helping seal her fate.